Hi kids, it's Mike with This Old Hot Rod up here in Middleborough, Mass. And tonight what I'm doing is I'm going to build a bracket for this emergency brake lever. I just recently picked this up on eBay. I believe it's a 33, 34 early Ford brake lever, old chrome. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to mount it down here next to the transmission. Instead of putting it back here, I'm going to move it a little further forwards, but I'm going to drop it down some. If I were to put it up here, I feel like it's going to interfere not only with the shifter, but with the passenger's legs. But if I put it further forwards and down a little, it'll clear the dash, and it'll only interfere with the bottom of their legs, which is narrower than the top of their legs. So what I did was I just grabbed a little piece of cardboard. This was actually a cut-off piece from my battery box. I pushed it down here. There's 3 bolt holes on the passenger side on the top box, on the top of the transmission box. Pushed that down. I kind of made 3 marks, figured out where my holes need to be drilled. So now what I need to do is basically just figure out the height that I want my shifter to be. It's going to be a little difficult for me to film while I'm talking and show you down underneath at the base where I'm going to mount the shifter. I'm using this piece of cardboard to make a template to mount on top of the transmission on either 3 holes or these 2 holes. Don't really use the emergency brake that much, so 2 holes is probably enough. But I have a template long enough, I might as well make it with 3. So what I really need to do at this point now is to figure out how low my emergency brake handle is going to be. Let me grab a couple magnets. I'm going to place those magnets on top of the cardboard. I'll try to line them up with the marks that I already made. Get them lined up on top of the bolts. So then I can drop that down. Hold up I keep saying shifter handle.
Sorry, I couldn't quite hear you.
Well, I'm not talking to you, Siri. Wasn't talking to you. Leave me alone. I'm talking to my YouTube people. I want it so I have a direct pull at the cable underneath obviously under the floor, but above the transmission cross member. I need to have enough clearance for my thumb underneath the dash, and I want it low enough so it's not going to hit the dash, obviously. So there's a drain plug on the side of the transmission, which actually no, I'm sorry, that's the fill plug. If I put it where the fill plug is, I'll have to go further out. And that's going to really cut into the leg room. If I were to go a little further forwards, I would clear that and then be able to tuck it in about 1 inch more. So I think that's what I'm going to do. And again, the further I go forwards, the less interference it's going to have with the person's legs. So I'm going to kind of just trace more or less where it is, so I can get an idea. So now what I'll do is, I don't really care about this part necessarily. Don't really care about this. I really only care about this area here. So I could have it come down, go straight across, and then up. I'll probably just go straight up here. I'm going to have my bend my bend up here. And then boom, boom. So it looks like where it's going to end up being located. I probably won't use this back hole. The back hole. Ha! Get it? Don't often use the back hole. Mostly the front ones. So I'm gonna end up using these 2 front holes by the looks of it. And then make my holes where I need to be drilled, bend it, and I should be able to get this thing mounted pretty quick. And then I need to figure out how I'm going to attach the emergency brake cables to this. But it shouldn't be that big of a deal. So let me cut this out real quick. Allie and I went out to a flea market a couple weeks ago and I found this really cool pair of old vintage shears. They were 20 bucks. The guy was asking 30. I asked him if he'd take 20. He said, yep. And they are amazing. Well, luck would have it. I went looking for that piece of 1/8 inch and I found a piece of 3/16 by 6 inch. It's perfect. I'm going to get this laid out real quick and get this cut out, get the marks for my holes center punched. I'll get my holes drilled. What I'll do is then I'll end up cutting it partially through, bending it, and then welding it. It's easier than heating it and bending it, and I don't have to get my torches out. Just gotta find a square real quick. Alright, after searching for what seemed like forever, found a square. So I want to get these. Here's my emergency brake. Dylan was just out here for a few minutes and he says, "What are you working on?" Thought that was pretty cool because usually he doesn't ask what I'm working on. Usually he's just, doing his own thing. But he says, "What are you working on?" So I said, I'm building an emergency brake bracket. So I had to explain to him what that was. Showed him everything, where it was going to go and the reasons why I was putting it where I was putting it. I thought that was pretty cool. He's showing interest in this and it really makes me happy. Like anybody that's into this stuff, you want your kids or your stepkids or whoever's close to you, you want them to want to be involved. And it makes me feel good when he shows some interest.
Do you want me to make you a sandwich?
I would like 2, please. Or 1. 1 would suffice.
Are you coming in a little while?
Yeah, are they ready?
Well, do you want your bun toasted?
You know it, babe. Here's a little word of advice. Girl ever asked you if you want your buns toasted? You always say yes. Always say yes. Alright, so I'm going to just pop you over here on the driver's side because it's easier. I'm going to get in and out on the passenger side. What I need to do is just make another mark where my bolts are going to be, the bolt holes are going to be. So like I said before, I had it originally further back, but it's going to interfere with that bolt for the fill hole on the transmission, and I don't want to have to remove the emergency brake. God forbid I need to add fuel. I don't want to have to remove the emergency brake. God forbid I need to add oil to the transmission or fluid to the transmission. So you can see this bolt here sticking through. I need to make sure that that's spaced off the transmission far enough. So I made a provision for that hole, and then obviously the 2 holes here and here for the holes for the mount. So I'm going to need to make some spacers to go in between to stand off, to have that emergency brake mount stand off from this mount, from the side of the emergency brake. So probably going to end up having to space it out about 1/2 inch. I think that's pretty good. That's going to be far enough away from my shifter where I'm not going to interfere with my shifter. Just want to make sure it's all the way forwards. So I'm just going to push down on this piece of cardboard to get where my mounts are going to go. Alright, so I had 2 other ones already on there from earlier. I'm not going to use those. Alright, so now that I know what my shape is going to be and where the holes are going to need to go, I can get them cut out and I can get them marked on my steel plate. I can't make it much bigger than what this template is because it's going to hit the drain plug here and it's going to hit the front of the transmission box into the bell housing. So that's where I need to cut, and I'm going to get this cut out, drilled, slice this partially through, get it bent, welded, and get this mounted, see if I can find something to make some spacers out of on my bandsaw. But I'm going to go grab some dinner, and I'm going to finish doing this after dinner. See ya. Alright, back in the garage. Remove my cold beverage. Alright, I got this plate marked out. Just had some BLTs that my amazing girlfriend made. So now what I got to do is get this plate cut out. Get it bent up, drilled, bent up, and put in the car. Get my sander on it. So, what I figured out for the people that commented on my video about when I had my breakdown of my my new grinder, there's actually two sets of holes here. One set is wider. The other set the set that actually has the Allen wrenches, this actually fits in. So if anyone has any of these keys, I know a lot of people do, you know, this and they loosen it. Every now and then I do, but for the most part I just always use the tool. I don't know why, I just do. Everybody does what works for them. But anyways, just wanted to show you that. So I figured out the trick. It's not as bad as I thought. And for those who, you know, commented and laughed, the version that I posted up in the video was the extremely heavily edited version of what actually happened. I don't know if I could post up what actually happened without getting flagged on YouTube because it was ugly. Maybe I'll do an edited version of the bloopers on that one. Alright, I'm gonna get this drilled out. After the holes are drilled, which is probably gonna suck because my drill bits are really starting to crap out on me lately. I'm gonna get it, I'll get it bent after I get the holes drilled. I'll use a hole saw for that center hole. And just drill bits for these 4 holes here. So I'm going to get this, you see where I cut partially through, I'll bend that afterwards 90 degrees, then weld that bend, strengthen it back up, and that'll be the mount for my emergency brake. I'm going to get this over on the drill press, get those holes drilled. Alright, get this moved. My drill press is somewhat of a catch-all. I've been using it a lot lately, but it still seems to be a catch-all. So what I try to do is get the holes lined up in these cross channels so I can drill through it. Sometimes I can get all 4 or whatever I'm trying to drill. Usually you can get 2 lined up pretty easily, but not usually 4 of them. But it must be my lucky day. So it's nice using just new, fresh new bits. Alright, so I'll show you how my drill bits have been working for me lately. You guys will appreciate this. That's just one of many. And like I said, I try using that drill doctor and, well, here you go. This is one of them that I sharpened right here. Let's see how I did. Not too good. I can't seem to get it right, whatever the trick is. I spent so much time trying to use that tool. And for the life of me, I can't figure it out. just can't. I try, I swear I try. Maybe I should watch a YouTube video on the drill doctor. There we go. Praise the Lord! Oh, that one's dull as crap. That one looks overheated, so I think that one's dull as poo-poo. These look dull. Let's try this one. I don't know what size bolts these are. I feel like they're probably like 3/8 maybe. He's a runner. Yeah, I'm just catching the edge of the table a touch. Well, I think I'm getting pretty close. I may need to go up one more. I actually have to drill this out. I forgot about that. That's got to be drilled out. I'm going to use a hole saw for that. So someone said a couple videos ago that, and I don't know who it was, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But someone said a couple videos ago that I'm what was it? That I needed to change. They said you need to change. You need to change your tone of voice. I've never been told that my whole life. I'm 45. I mean, I've been yelled at and said you better change the tone of your voice. I need to take some positivity pills and take 2 of them. I laughed. I got such a kick out of that. And this isn't a dig on that person. If that's what you think, that's what you think. I'm not here to change people's minds about things in the world or opinions of me. I'm not here to do that. And then the following video, someone commented and said, "You're always so happy. Do you ever have bad days?" And it's crazy to me that 2 people in the world can watch the exact same videos and get 2 completely different perspectives on it. It just goes to show you that no matter what you do, someone's always going to think one way and another person's always going to think another. And I think that's great. I think, you know, I think that is just the way things are supposed to be. That's the truth in the saying that you can't make everybody happy. And I thought I got such a kick out of that. So whoever that was, thank you. I had that was a good one. I had a good laugh. And it's motivating too. It's motivating. It makes me question myself and wonder, am I being too negative? Do I need to change things? So again, thank you. I appreciate it. You're keeping me on my toes. Alright, getting into the business of it. Whoa, it's hot. Woo-hoo-hoo. Alright, let me get this thing wiped off. Hey, hot. Alright, I want to get this wiped down real quick to get all that oil off. So the oil that I use, a buddy of mine, remember the guy when I was working on the car and he called and said, well, for the people that have been around for a little while, one of my friends called me and I had him on speakerphone and he was huffing and puffing. I said, what the heck are you doing? Are you doing yoga? As a joke, because I knew he wasn't doing yoga. And his instant response was, no, I'm just walking. But man, he was huffing. So that was my buddy Pete. A lot of people that have been doing these cars know who Pete is. Pete Flavin. He is the president of the Tornadoes Car Club, formerly of the Altar Boys. So as I was saying, my buddy Pete was here not long ago and he was doing something in the garage. And he grabbed that oil can with my cutting oil in it. And he squirted it, and said, what the hell kind of oil is this? I said, it's 2-stroke oil. That's all I had. So I don't know what you guys use for cutting oil, but I use 2-stroke premix. A lot of you, but I don't use the good stuff. I use the junk stuff for my cutting oil. So what I'm going to have to do is, actually needs to go a little more. There we go. So what I need to do now is I actually got to put some 1/2-inch spacers on these. So I got to find some tubing of some sort. Hello? So those are just spacers. They're really not structural really in any way. So I'm just going to keep a couple tacks on them just to hold them in place. Alright, so ran into a little bit of a snag. I made this bracket so tight up against the side of the transmission box that if I put these bolts through like this, it doesn't fit. You just adapt and overcome with these cars, like many other things in life. And I think at the end of the day, it may actually, I mean, it's going to work because it has to work, but it actually may end up working out a little bit better. And that's going to be the end result of my mount. It's going to be exactly what I need. It'll be nice and tight right up against the transmission. And everybody's happy. It's either that or I could actually just cut these bolt heads off. You know what? Why don't I just do that? It's probably easier at the end by the time I'm all said and done. Nice little project for a Monday night. As I said earlier, I don't always spend time in the garage on Mondays. Usually I'm recouping from my weekends, but Allie and I didn't do a whole lot this weekend. We kind of just hung out. It was kind of nice. It was a nice little break. One bolt, Two bolts, Itchy. Itchy nose. Now what I need to do is I'm going to get these, throw some bolts on these, more or less where they're going to need to be on the shifter. I was hoping I wasn't going to damage the threads by doing that. I think I'm alright. I'm going to go that way. And then this is going to go this way. Those are going to go down inside the holes. Man, this is working out slick. Slicker than beep. That's my 3/16 spacer. You grab a clamp, and I'm just going to clamp that right there. Yeah, right there. I'm actually going to run these threads down a little bit to give myself enough room with some lock washers. You know what I mean? If I don't run these threads down, if I don't run those nuts down at all, and I weld these actually protruding through the back of the brace, I won't have enough room on the bolt that's sticking out to put a washer. And I want to make sure I have room for a washer. Alright, so let me see if I can just get a tack. I don't know if I can get it off of this. Should be able to, I suppose. Yeah. Nice and easy. There we go. Get that welded up. Turn my welder up a little. I got enough room on these studs to throw a lock washer on there. So now what I have to do is attempt to mount it on the transmission. I may end up having to open up these holes, maybe one more drill bit size. Should work out pretty good. My stud's here. That's going to be clamped on like that. Push my button. Now, I actually got to figure out where the actual emergency brake cable goes to. I don't see any. I don't see any place where it goes. So that's my emergency brake handle, but I don't know where the cable attaches to. Man, I don't know. Sometimes you think you know enough to get by. Then once you really think about it, you realize you just don't. You know enough to get yourself backed into a corner and have to figure out how to get out. Sometimes that's never a bad thing. Usually that's when you learn, I think, the most things, when you're forced to. Alright, so there's my emergency brake. Yeah, it is. It's half inch. That's what I thought. These two bolts. Go grab my air compressor and blow that cover off. Alright, well, I'd say that's a success. Exactly what I wanted to accomplish tonight. Next will be the shifter, the linkage, and the pedals. So the shifter is going to be, ow, hit my head. This is going to be the shifter. Just going to go somewhere in this region back here. Probably going to mount it. It's going to be down underneath like that. So I'm going to have to notch this tube with this pipe, which I knew I was going to have to do, and then get my linkage built. So it's going to be pretty good. It's going to be, I think for the most part, it's going to be pretty comfortable. Where the shifter's going to be, it's going to be a little lower than what I'm used to, but I can always raise it up if I have to. Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty good. Just got to notch this tube back. Get this tube welded to the one right behind it, which was the plan all along. Get that set and get the linkage built, like I said. Then figure out exactly how that cable attaches to the emergency brake handle. What I need to also do while I'm working on this area of the car is cut all the spot welds off the blister for the transmission, or the hump, and then weld that to the front piece that I made. So it's all removable as one piece. That is also going to come into play with this, I believe. Yeah, that's nice. That's tucked way up under there. You really can't see it. Not that I care about seeing it, but it's just, it's out of the way. It's not going to be in the passenger's footwell, really. They should have plenty of room. I think what I'm going to do is, I think I'm actually going to get some welds underneath here together on these two pieces of tube, and then cut this one out right now, and then maybe get the shifter bolted on and see where I'm at. Alright, so you can see I just got that piece of pipe cut out. I'm going to get a couple of bolts, hopefully that fit through that shifter. Forgot the camera wasn't on when I cut that out, but it wasn't anything spectacular, so just cut it out real quick. But what I did was I took two little tabs. I cut some little tabs off a piece of flat stock, and from underneath the car I put them in between the space, because there's another 1-inch box tube underneath this piece of floor. And the reason why I stacked them up was because I knew I was going to have to cut this one. And before I cut this piece of 1x, this piece of tube stock, I connected the two underneath with a small sliver of this up inside, and then I just welded it flush. so it kept the spacing in between, so when I put the floor pan in the front, it tucks in, and they actually tuck in together, and I can seal it, or I can do whatever I want to. Whether I'll do that or not, probably not, but well, I just dropped that. I don't know where I think on this shifter mount, oh, it goes through the shifter body itself into the side of the transmission. I don't know if this is going to be far enough back. Hopefully it is. I think that'll go in there. Now this transmission, for those who weren't here early on, is from a 1966 Ford Mustang, or 1966 Ford top loader. It could be from a Fairlane or a Falcon, but I think the numbers were from a Mustang, a 289 Mustang. So I'm behind this 371 Oldsmobile. It should be more than enough to stay together. Put it this way, it'll be a lot better than a early Ford 3-speed. I'm certainly much happier to have a 4-speed than early Ford 3-speed. Alright, so reverse, yeah, and I think third and fourth. So I'm going to have to do some research to figure out what's what. There we go, that's reverse right there. So I built my own linkage on my 1930 Coupe also. I just kind of scavenged the junkyards and places that I could find linkage. Found some old shifters. I ended up picking up some old shifters and built my own linkage. It's definitely time consuming because you got to, you know, the intricates, you got to work all the ins and outs, but I've done it once and there's no reason why I can't do it again. That being said, I think that's going to be tomorrow night's project. I'm happy I got the shifter in. That was unexpected. So we're going to do just a kind of a quick video wrap up. Show you guys what I got done. Gonna move this light out of the way just a little bit. I can't move it all the way out of the way because you won't be able to see what I did. So you can see here I got the mount for the emergency brake lever. I still have to attach the cable and the mechanism and all that stuff, but there's plenty of room underneath the dash for clearance for your hand. I stepped it off of the plate itself. I had to get some longer bolts, threw some longer bolts for the top of the transmission. I made sure it cleared the filler, and that worked out. And then what I did after that was I cut this piece of box tube real quick, bolted the shifter on. I got the shifter mounted. I have the screwdriver. I'll show you. A few minutes ago in the video I was explaining how there's a pin that you set in place inside these shifters. It locks the linkage all together on the bottom, but these three levers, first and second, third, fourth, and reverse, all need to be equal. So they need to be in perfect alignment before you set your linkage arms. So what I need to do is I need to build my shifter linkage. I built the shifter linkage in my 30 Coupe, so I do have a little bit of experience doing it. It's not a fun project, but it's rewarding when you're done, when you can sit in your car and shift through the gears. After this is done, I'm going to work on this tomorrow after work. After this is done, I'm going to get my pedal assembly set in place. So it'll be kind of nice to be able to work on the linkage first, because I have some room here. No matter what I do, the pedals are going to be right here. But at least doing this first, I have a little bit more room to work. It'll make my life a lot easier. The Coupe was really tough on the 30, so this I'm hoping will go a little bit smoother. Want to say thank you to everybody. Appreciate it. I know I say it after every video, but I really mean it. I really appreciate everyone following along. I appreciate all the comments, all the emails. A gentleman mailed me a package today. I just happened to go to the post office to mail out a few things. There was a package notification in my post office box, so thank you, Richard. Yeah, just all the support, you know. You're in here focusing and trying to get this stuff done, and chipping away at all these projects, and it's a lot. It's really it's intimidating. It's overwhelming. Yeah, sometimes you're not your chipper self. Maybe it just doesn't come off that way on YouTube. So Again, thanks everyone. Hope you guys are appreciating, following along. I certainly appreciate you guys following along. Allie and I both do. And yeah, man, this thing's just getting close to becoming a complete car, or damn close to it. It's going to be off to the exhaust shop pretty soon. And I'll see you the next time on this old hot rod. Take care. Bye-bye.